All right, welcome to Raising Funds for World Domination, day number 270. Oh, I already got one like. That was very fast. All right. So, for today's update, there are no updates. Still no word, still no official confirmation that an appeal has even been filed. There are still 4 new sponsored block types available in the store. And today I continued working on the next long form video. So I guess the status of that is I finished, there's 2 more graphics for like the time that I have in the video now. There's 2 more graphics I have to do, which is maybe like a few hours of work. And then once I finish those, there's actually a couple, there's still a couple scenes to film, and then there's a little bit more script I have to finalize and film. So I don't know, it's probably at least another week. All right, we will continue with work on the terminal block mining simulation game. So last night, I identified a bug, a race condition, where a thread tries to close, where if a frame tries to close itself, there's a race condition where it doesn't actually update the UI. And that was what I found by stepping through in the debugger. So tonight I will start by addressing that issue. Okay, and that was the case. Okay, I thought about this, and I could probably, there's probably multiple ways to solve it. There might be a quick way. On terminal window changed. I guess that is used in a bunch of different places. So I can probably just delete this. Alright, that might completely fix the bug. Nice. So far so good. Right, I think that fixed it. So the difference is I just moved the signal that actually tells the console writer thread to actually update the screen. I moved that into the actual API call, which arguably it really should be there anyway. Now I can probably do more of those. Yeah, it's probably fine. I think I'm actually ready to add the new frames that will for opening a new connection. So I guess I'll probably add, for that I'll just add, I'll just like copy and paste my debug input and create a couple new frame user interface frame types. So that one is generic. I might be able to simplify this a bit. Have I been summoned? Not explicitly, I guess. Not that I know of. if this works, this will let me this will make the process of making the instantiating those the frame classes totally generic. So regardless of whether if it has a client associated with it, I can just keep declaring the frames, and then I don't need to maintain this. Not sure that'll actually work, but let's test it. Alright, I think that doesn't work. Because it only works for that one, for the help menu. See, I guess to figure out what's going on, I'll have to use the debugger. And normally it should also, the application set up so it should, if there's some exception happening there, it should capture the exception and then display it. But something, I guess something that's not working with the like exception unwinding code, which makes sense because it's trying to launch a thread there, but I don't know why. I guess maybe I'll learn something in the debugger. trying to write a cover letter for that research position. Hope that might do something. Maybe, I guess, if you figure out who's going to read your cover letter and read their research papers and find out what their passions are. I know a lot of people do like generic cover letters. I think like if you do like there's some people that use ChatGPT to write a cover letter, but I think if you're doing that, that's just as good as like throwing it in the garbage. They probably just instantly ignore it. But I think that like a cover letter that would actually catch their attention is like if you, like I mentioned, if you could, even try to, like if you're on campus, you could even just go and try to chat with that person or someone on the research tab and be like, hey, I'm really interested in this research project. I stopped by so-and-so's office and chatted with them about blah, blah, blah. And then they'll see that and be like, oh, I know that person. I work with them every day. Right, let's see why this is messed up once and for all. Why won't it show me? Okay, help menu. So this one should succeed. I can't hover on stuff. Garbage debugger. Okay, constructor is something. So that succeeds, as we'd expect. And after that, it does nothing, which is not what I expect. That's weird. right, are there any exceptions? Right, it's not clear what's going on. All right, this is where this is the entry point where it should be actually creating those threads. Frame state class is map area. Interesting. Let's do that again. I don't remember what thread I was on. All right, that's help menu. Help menu succeeds. And this is in main. One in group main. Okay, let's do a step into. So step into doesn't do anything. It just hangs. If I breakpoint and go into main, I don't see a main thread. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. It's like the thread. It's like the thread just exits and then doesn't appear anywhere in here. But these would all be like child threads. I guess they'd be childs of the process. That's not it. That really stumps me. It's like the thread that I'm on just disappears. I don't know what's going on. Let's do this again from the scratch. Right, debug. That's the help menu. Right, we're now in main at 1 in group main. Step into the call stack is inside of Spring. But as soon as I try to step on this, it's like the thread just ends. I guess maybe that's what is happening. Maybe it's getting an exception. Expose exception. Maybe I need to try catching the exception. Oh yeah, that was a stack trace. Maybe I'm not getting feedback because it's bootstrapping the UI from this thread, which maybe it doesn't go through the whole. Oh yeah, this is the code that prints the information about exceptions. And because that's up here, it doesn't get a chance to run that code. So I guess if I want to log the exception, I need to rearrange that. This will have to be like called from within one of the threads. But for now, I'll maybe just not do that. Okay, I think I can. I could probably. That's better feedback. All right, looks like that is now generic. I guess I can just remove that. Alexander Dumb says, I want to romance a fish. Please program fish romance into the game. That's a fairly odd request. I guess it's possible. One of the things, the long-term arc of what I'm working on right now is multiplayer functionality, which will allow me to have like server-side entities. So I can have like, a bunch of entities dancing around on the screen. I mean, once I can actually support like mobs and stuff, then I suppose fish would be possible. I guess there are lots of fish that exist in like underground caves and stuff. So it's possible we could have fish romance. That's I think a pretty advanced feature. But there are games about like animal breeding and stuff. I think that's actually a pretty popular genre. Okay, that works correctly. What is this? This is software development of a terminal-based video game, which I will demo momentarily if it compiles here. Looks like it's going to compile. It's a video game you can play purely in the Linux terminal, where you wander around an infinite procedurally generated universe, and you can spam the M key to mine blocks. So I'm mining some wood here. It may crash randomly because I'm working on a new feature. It's nice. Good luck. Thank you. Eventually you can find an area with some ore. There we go. And you can mine different types of ore, and they show up in your inventory here. And that's the basic game loop. Christine Murray says, good morning. How's it going? It's currently 4 minutes to 11 here. So you fixed the panel bug from yesterday. Yeah, I thought about it and I realized there's a pretty simple way to fix it. It's just take that one extra message that would have been sent in the individual thread, just move that into the console writer thread, just call the update method directly, and that resolved it. 4 a.m. in England. That's far away. Does that long form video come along? It's coming along. This one. I keep saying that I'm gonna make more low effort content, and then I keep not doing that. I keep working on stuff that has lots of edits and stuff. But hopefully this one will actually be worth it. I think I have of like the recordings and cuts that I have now. There's like 2 more graphics. It's like maybe a couple more hours for those graphics to do. And then there's a little bit more scripting I have to finalize, and then just a few minutes of like talking I have to edit in. But I don't know. I'm thinking within a week might be realistic, but then again, it might take a little bit more than that. But it's getting there. Yeah, I'll do all this work just so people can be like, is this video AI? But this one has a bunch of like this one has more like cinematic shots and stuff in it, which of course people like to say those are AI. Yeah, I mean the whole AI trend really kind of in a way it makes it the ROI on like putting effort into filming stuff, like it's so much work to physically go to a location and physically film something, and now you're just gonna do all the work and people are like, this is stupid AI, but it's not AI. Hello there, I times 5. How's it going? everything is AI soon. Pretty soon, everything's going to be AI. Nowadays, if you're fluent in several languages, people say it's AI. It's only going to get worse too. I'm a bit sad. I think I will end it working at it. I think I will end up working at IT. You're sad because you will end up working in information technology. I guess it is kind of a sad time to be especially to be graduating into this market in IT. This escape. Things like Excel, help desk, etc. Well, I don't know. I guess with the way the economy's going, it's a whatever you can get type economy. Everyone's hopes and dreams are on hold now for a while until the economy figures itself out. Man should be 17 now. What do you do? It's a good question. I kind of, I keep thinking more, like there's so many contradictions about, like when you just figure out the raw materials and labor to build a house, to build like a basic house, like you'd almost be better off if you just dropped out of high school and like bought the smallest piece of land you could somehow, and then build the smallest house you can legally build, and then just get that, and then you have like, then you can retire. But of course, to do that is still a lot of work at that age. But if you can pull that off, then like you're not paying rent. it's getting to the point where it almost seems like we should shift a substantial portion of the economy to just like teach young people to build houses. Like if that was what our school was, can you imagine if like the entire education system was totally thrown out and we just said, okay, it's grade 9, you're going to learn how to build your own house. And that was the only, like, you just completely abolish every other course and then you just go out and build houses. That would make a lot of people's future a lot better. And then once you have a house, then you can, like, you know, go on YouTube and learn to code and all that kind of stuff. For 2010 now in Canada, best thing you do is buy a house. Yeah, I mean, back when I was more ambitious, I did almost think like maybe I should try and like get some kind of mortgage or something, or like rent it out or something. And I just with the trying to start my own business, I just didn't have the income. And then nowadays things have like could totally fallen apart. Like with my income now and my income prospects, I think even like renting an apartment long term is soon going to be totally unaffordable, and it is not just for me. And the like digesting the massive immigration we had is gonna decrease the productivity of our economy for years. Get a loan no matter what. I mean, it's on one hand, like one piece of advice is like, oh, just do whatever you can to get your house on housing. A lot of people did that. Like I don't know how much. Well, I guess you said you were in England. The problem is the banks are changing all the rules. So there's a ton of people who bought houses. They never missed a payment. And now, so the way the financing works, it's on 5-year terms. There's no like 30-year mortgage. So there's people here, they bought a house, they paid every payment, they've never missed a payment, they're not behind, and now they have to refinance because they bought in 2021. And now they have to refinance, but they cannot qualify to refinance because interest rates are higher, and so the payments would be higher, and there's a whole bunch of people that lost their jobs and incomes have gone down. So there's people who got into the housing market who are going to lose their house. They're going to be forced to sell in a down market. And because they bought at the top of the market and the market has gone down, like they got in by the skin of their teeth. They've like paid off, you know, a couple $100,000 in this, and they're going to lose everything. And they're totally, so like, if you didn't buy a house, you're screwed. And even if you did buy a house, there's a growing number of those people who are also totally screwed. So the entire economy from top to bottom is just like completely, it doesn't make any sense at all. And then on top of that, we got like, you know, 50% taxes and stuff. You can never be sure, but in hindsight, yeah, but I mean, it's also worse. Like even our, there's a famous quote from our prime minister. He's like, someone was like, oh, but what about interest rates and stuff? And then he was like, interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn. And that was true for a couple of years. And then they immediately increased interest rates and totally wiped out a bunch of people. Like the average person is just getting screwed in such a profound way that it's almost funny. It's just, everything is a total clown show. Okay, this is I would like this to work without having to call a separate method. guess I can just, just make it a separate method. Happened in Spain and Italy. Mortgages tripled for some people overnight, and they could do nothing about it because the interest rates were set for all Eurozone, and Germans needed it. It was circa 2007. Yeah, it's like, it's basically, it seems like a systemic scam. Like, the government should know, if anyone would know, be able to foresee this. It's like the governments and the hedge funds and stuff like that. I think it's all that, like, this is orchestrated on purpose. They're like, how do we manufacture a way to just steal everyone's money and like force people to over leverage themselves and then bankrupt them and then steal all their stuff and then we can blame them. That's how the grift is working. Okay, that might work. Some areas of US I know I can live without any problem earning a little bit of money, but here in Massachusetts it's really hard. Yeah, it's hard in a lot of places. Yeah, I don't know what to say. This lots of chaos working its way through the system. Gonna have to declare bankruptcy. Most of Europe, so millions of people have any income they make barcode from the bank. Even now, decades later, they had no house as it was repoed. Yeah, that's the worst. Like, you get pressured into buying a house at the worst possible time at inflated prices, and then the powers that be, they drop the price to below what you paid, and then you're forced to sell at a loss. Because I mean, at least if you can hang on to the house and keep making payments, then like you can just ride it out. Like, as long as you can make the payments, you can build a bit of equity eventually, and then maybe ride out the storm. Do you feel market analysis is important for small biz, solopreneur? Do you feel a market analysis is important? You mean an analysis of the market you're planning to go into? Yeah, I think it's hugely important, but it's like a continuous process. I think that's kind of the primary, one of the primary activities of whatever your business is. You got to be constantly figuring out, like, is the market going to shift? Am I going to go out of business soon? Many people working for cash in the informal economy just to survive. Yeah, I was thinking about that. There was a discussion from the other night that's made me think that may be what actually happens in the near future. It's like the formal economy is starting to like collapse, and so we're gonna have this like K-shaped recovery. And I think on the people on the lower end of the K economy, they're just gonna like branch off into their own society and economy. Like, we're already starting to kind of see the early signs of that with just the mass homeless encampments and stuff. Like, if we can't build legal housing, we'll just, like, people will build mass amounts of illegal housing. And I think there's a shocking number of people that like just live in cars and they're kind of too embarrassed to really talk about it. Okay, why does that not work? Input form container cannot be converted to input element container. That's because it's this. How often should a small business solopreneur do a market analysis after they launch? I guess it depends what the market analysis consists of. Because like a market, like technically all of the data, like sales data and click data and like user feedback, that all of that is like market analysis in a way. Like technically, I could say I'm doing market analysis right now by like my concurrent viewers, chat rate, the number of chat revenue, number of likes, the quality of discussions that come in. That's all data and signals that I would use to evaluate the financial viability of my activity right now. So that part is like continuous. If you're talking about like a standard business plan, I think like if you take a course on business, they'll tell you about like, here's how you here's how you write a business plan before you start a business. I think business plans make more sense if you're repeating a business process or like a new type of business that's already been done 1,000 times, and it's like a formulaic process. So, for example, the process of figuring out if you should start a McDonald's franchise at a particular location, there would be tons of, there's already like thousands of them that already exist. So the math on that is very easy. There's like a standardized package for setting up the franchise and stuff. But if you want to start like some kind of high technology company, or like build a game engine or something, there's going to be you're going to be totally much more on your own for evaluating the potential market for that. So, and there's way more risk and there's way more return if you are right. If you live in a car, how do you even marry or have children? You don't. It's a bleak future. I think I saw there was one like TikTok or something. Like some people were reacting. There was this like woman who was living in her car, and she bought like a bunch of dolls and was like treating them like children and introducing everyone on social media to her like dolls that she was taking care of. That's the future. All right, that looks like that works. Okay, I made a little bit of incremental progress for tonight. So the input form it's looking pretty good. It works. I can close it. So I'll probably, for like initial development, I'll probably make 2 different windows. One will be to open a world connection. I still have to kind of match this. I have to like review how I'm gonna launch the new classes, but I'll probably have like an open world connection panel. So that opens up either a single player world or a WebSockets multiplayer world, or actually both of them will be multiplayer world. So it'll either open a connection to the database or to the world over a local file or WebSockets, and then the create authorized world connection. That'll actually create the player connection, and then so that will give let me think. That I think gives the client block model context. Yeah, I'll have to go back and review it. But people just ask ChatGPT. That's the viability of their idea. The market analysis for a lot of people. ChatGPT is a pretty good intro. What about market analysis for software, like a mobile app game? How do you know there will be demand? And if it can sustain your small business solopreneurship? I'm actually not even sure. Like in this day and age, if someone is planning to, like, if you want to make an app for fun, like to learn about making apps, that's one thing. But if you're like seriously like, I want to make a business and grow it and stuff like that, I think the way you make an app that is successful is first you forget about the app, don't develop an app, build a very successful business that has a lot of free cash flow, and then figure out some way to develop an additional cash flow or marketing stream from building an app. And that would be the way to do it. But if you start like some mobile game app or something, in this day and age, it's just so saturated. There's probably a very, very small niche of people who would know how to do that, but the number, like, it's probably more, the success in that arena is probably more so about like learning the intricate details and nuances of the different app stores, because the app stores control who sees what apps. Like, for example, if you have to learn about like what apps does Android prefer, what game apps does iOS prefer, because I think they basically pick the winners and losers. And if you're not a favored genre of app, then they just will be like, nope, you will not get any views in the App Store. But if you're exactly what they want, they'll recommend it to everyone. Amazing, but I don't have a car. A DK, how to rate today? Yes, difficult. I have to kind of guess what you mean. Might be a start, but it seems like would not be enough. What people do is check what's popular in Steam and the mobile app stores. That's why barely anything is remotely original. Yeah, and that's the other thing, is a lot of people want to make an app because they're passionate about something, but passion does not equal money. And a lot of times there's a certain business perspective you have to have, where you just have to think about how do you squeeze money out of stuff as much as possible, which is not different than making a useful product. Everybody chasing same markets. Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, I'm welcome to be proven wrong, or I'm sure there's other people who'd argue against me, but I would say, like, don't make an app. It probably won't be successful these days, unless you have something else. Like I said, if you have like an existing business, like a real world business, but some like Candy Crush clone or something, there's just thousands. You can probably use AI now to just. There probably are people doing that, just making like vibe-coded garbage games and then uploading like 500 billion. They're just like spamming AI-made video games to these app stores as fast as possible. And they're all getting like auto-rejected and banned, but some of them make it through. So if you have a superstar economy where most people make next to no money, the red ocean indeed. Yeah. And with that, I'll probably call it a night. So I made another little bit of incremental progress. I'll pick this up tomorrow again for day 171. All right, have a good night, guys.